In the past decade, the CFS framework has become the main model through which UNICEF and its partners promote quality education around the world.
Child-friendly school is a framework where the child's best interest is at heart. This framework takes in three broad areas. One, the child-centeredness, where, as I said, the focus is on the child, where the child is the most important component in the learning environment. Two, democratic participation, where the child participates in the process, in terms of decision making, their voice, basically they have a voice in the whole process. And of course, inclusiveness, where they talk about, bringing everyone. It doesn't matter what your challenges are in terms of physical and mental, to work in the same environment.
The small Caribbean island of Grenada has broken new ground by being one of the first in the Windward Islands to implement CFS practices in a special education school. The Victoria School for Special Education is one of the schools piloting the CFS framework in Grenada.
Victoria Special Education, we've seen remarkable implementation progress in that school. It was particularly important that we do that too, because at this Ministry of Education, we're moving towards becoming inclusive, and we felt there was a need to have the principles of CFS introduced to special needs students as well, because often special education needs, special needs students are overlooked in most of the mainstream undertakings.
What we find is that our students were really, their motivation was very low. The self-esteem, because coming from the community and some coming from the mainstream where they were not able to function and they were jeered at, they were told all sorts of things that they can't learn, they're stupid. So they came in here with very, very, very low self-esteem. They were not motivated, and that added to a lot of behavioral problems. Some of them were very violent because they learned to fight to fend for themselves in the mainstream.
A change had to take place. And for teacher and CFS focal point Malanda Noel, that change was only possible through implementing the CFS framework.
So after coming from CFS with Mr. Andrew, we came back and we had to do a workshop. We had Mr. Andrew coming in, do a presentation. It was a little bit hard in the beginning, teach us something new. As always, when you have to do something new, you get persons very hesitant. But as we continue to promote it some more, and they saw pictures, they saw some of the brochures that I got from attending CFS from UNICEF. We gave them that, and I guess when Mr. Andrew came in together with the other persons and kind of reiterated, I guess persons were more enthusiastic about CFS and what CFS is all about.
One of the first steps in implementing the CFS framework was to conduct a needs assessment. This needs assessment prompted the staff and principal to focus on positive behavioral management and on making the classrooms more student-centered.
Well, we would call in the parents. We would have things like late lunch. We would delay their lunch. We had other things that we would deny them some privileges, like the use of the computer and so. But it was not on a large scale as we're doing it now through the CFS. There are a lot of things that we've learned that we're implementing that we did not know before. We tried some of the reward system before, but as I said, it was not on a large scale as we're doing it right now. And every class and every teacher was not on board. But now, because of CFS, everyone has their reward chat up and everyone is on board. We have our expectation up. We do it every morning. There's a chat. There are changes, because they would constantly remind the other students of the expectation in the classroom.
Each child has a leaf and their name is written on the leaf. So once we catch them doing something good or probably following the class expectations, then their name goes one step on the caterpillar. So as long as the day goes by, once we catch them doing something good or following the class expectations, they move one step further on the caterpillar until they reach the mouth. So once they reach at the mouth, they automatically go to the butterfly, where they get to choose a special toy that they would like to play with.
Prior to implementing CFS, school classrooms were sparsely decorated and bare-boned in nature. Using CFS guidelines to create student-friendly classrooms has now made the learning environment more appealing to students.
It was like a typical classroom where you come and you see just table and chairs and the children sit at their table and chairs every day. We didn't have centers set up, but since then we've tried to set up our centers. We tried to look at the children's interests and try to have material and aids activities based on the children's interests that we have displayed around the classroom.
We have the music center, we have sensory, literacy, numeracy, we have the different centers. So we do group activities first. After group activities, we tend to give the children the individual section based on the level that they are at and based on the IEP, some of the things that we have in the individualized education plan. So we send them to the different station so they would do activities at that station that would enhance that aspect of the plan that we want them to work on.
Even though the space is limited, we try to use a lot of shoeboxes and other things around and set up the centers based on their interests, and we try to teach them through it so it's more experiential learning instead of just sitting and listening to the teacher lecturing.
Because we're focusing on student-centered classroom, when we do the corners and the centers and we set up everything, it made a huge difference in the school. The tone of the school, the setting, everything was different because the children were more on task, so that way the disruptive behavior wouldn't continue because they were focused on the activity at hand.
While we were developing our playground as well, we had 4 Saturdays where the parents actually working on the playground structure.
But what do the students and their parents have to say about CFS at VSSE?
Sam is our hardest worker now, and he was the one who would get involved in all kinds of negative behaviors we would think about dealing. But now we would say that especially for Sam, we've seen Sam's behavior have increased drastically.
I learn my school work every hard. I listen my 2 A's in teaching and speaking. I obey my rules, my school rules, and I obey everybody in my country, and obey my principal. This way.
Having the award for the hardest work, how does that make you feel when you got that award?
Good, very good.
What would you like to be when you grow up?
And to be a police.
CFS is a good program because he helped my son Javel a lot. He didn't used to like to mingle even with his brother and sister at home, but now he's moving around with them, he's sharing with them, he's going outside playing with them. So I find CFS is a good program.
We have a good improvement on my daughter because I used to do everything for her, and since she gets into that program, she learned to do everything for herself now. Like, I will go with her to the bathroom, but she will bathe for herself. I look at her do everything. We will go grocery shopping and she knows what to pick up. So you show them a sense of how to be depend on themselves.
My child would have become a lot more organized. He doesn't like to see things out of place. He'll put things away. Once he sees something out of place, at home he will come and put it away. He knows that, for example, he knows, okay, the sugar should be here, and it is on somewhere else. He will come and take it and put it away, you know. So he has been neat, a lot neater.
So I'd like to say thanks to the principal and staff of this special education school here for the program, because it benefits my son and myself a very lot.
The child-friendly school framework has proven to be effective with mainstream schools. And now, with VSSE's participation in the program, it shows that CFS practices can enhance the environments for special needs students.
So if it's one thing we can say that CFS is really helping us with, is in terms of motivating our students and getting them to feel that they're special, they can do anything that they set their mind to, and it's changing their behavior.
One small step for Grenada, an even bigger step for the Caribbean.